This is the second published version of this episode. There ended up being some obvious conflicts of interest that were overlooked, and after some post-mortem, weren't in the best interest of my guest. So here's the show.
This show is listener supported by people like you subscribing at patreon.com/Cameron_Adair. There's a link to that in the episode notes and at podcast.CameronAdair.com. You can also support the show by writing a review in the Apple Podcast app or Stitcher, where you're probably listening right now. We can't make the show without you, and we really appreciate it. You can also leave a voice message for us through the link in the episode notes. This is the Cameron Adair podcast with me, Cameron Adair. This is episode 20. Jerry Sue's been a pro skater since he was 17. He's a playable character in the EA Skate video game franchise. He's published a photography book and is about to release his second. He also just started a clothing company last year. We met up at my studio in Echo Park. We talked about the Bay Area, LA, skating, making clothes, sponsors, his new photography book, Nazi Gold, skate injuries, the relationship between art and commerce, and growing up Taiwanese American. Here's Jerry. She's good as far as I know. You guys don't talk much? No, I don't talk much. Turn you up. Yeah, my sister is good. We don't really talk that much.
Yeah.
She's still in San Jose. In Willow Glen.
Yeah, I haven't talked to her. But I just felt like I just had to ask.
Right. Well, that's the obvious connection. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, she lived with me in she lived about a block from me in San Francisco for a little while. But I think she didn't like living in a big city, super crazy in the Mission and stuff.
For sure.
So she went back to old San Ho.
Yeah.
The Man Jose.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how long have you been in LA for what? Probably 5 or 6 years?
Did we start?
We've been started.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been here, I've been in LA for about almost 8 years, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's a good.
I think 2010, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More so than anywhere else you've lived other than San Jose.
For sure, yeah. No, I only I lived in San Jose pretty much full time until I moved here. I mean, I lived in other places super briefly, but it was just months.
Yeah. I think last time I saw you must have been around that long ago.
Yeah, or longer. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even remember the last time I saw you. It's been a super long time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So nice to see you.
Yeah,
welcome to the show.
I know,
Thank you so much for doing this.
Of course, yeah. It's great to see you.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for doing this.
No problem.
I've been just kind of blown away the last couple years since I started this podcast. Just blown away by the people that are down to do it.
Yeah.
So it's been rad.
Yeah. I guess people like to talk about themselves.
I guess that's what it is. Yeah, we talk about all sorts of shit. It's kind of it's not that often that you have a long conversation with somebody or even talk for that long. So I don't know why people are down, but
yeah, I guess when in this context, it's just I don't want to say easier, but gives it a nice frame where you're
yeah,
if you're just at a bar or something, it's just all right, I'm gonna go now, or or whatever. You just see someone and you just getting to a serious talk. Some people aren't built for it.
Yeah, I think if someone tried to talk to me for an hour and a half in a bar, I might have to run into traffic.
Yeah. It happens to me kind of often too. People want to talk about stuff, and sometimes I'm just whoa, I got to get out of here. But
yeah,
just sometimes.
For sure. Cool. Yeah, I saw your 9 Club thing, probably a few weeks ago. That's cool what they're doing there.
Yeah, it's cool.
I've been doing mine longer, but you know.
Yeah, it's funny. I was like, I asked them, like, do you need to ask me something in advance, like to prepare, anything like that? And they were just like, we don't prepare, we just go.
Oh, that's good.
And I was like, damn.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I feel like they covered everything. If I was paying,
I thought they would ask more. I was kind of like, oh, like, or maybe not ask more, but like follow up on more things, because there were stories that, like, if they just kind of like asked a little bit more, I would have like gone into way more detail. But they kind of
really?
would just like move on to the next thing.
Yeah,
and I'd be like, oh, okay, well.
But it seemed like they touched upon pretty much everything that I would have asked you.
Yeah, they just wanted to know like skate sponsor history and stuff like that.
No, yeah, it's very
it's very
skatey.
like super skate. Yeah, it has very little to do with anything else. I think just like zany stories and like skateboarding and stuff.
For sure. Yeah, Chris, he's a funny dude.
Yeah.
So you like it down here? You like it in the...
I really like LA. I mean, everyone, like, we grew up in San Jose, so like, you know, there's this obvious, like, there's a stigma to Southern California. And with skaters anyway, there was always this like huge stigma, like, you know, NorCal is better. It's like, you know, like LA is, everyone always say like LA is, you know, like fake or whatever, or it like all these other different, you know, aspects of it that, you know, supposedly sucked. But then I started to make friends here and then would visit a lot and sort of realize like, oh, like it's actually kind of awesome. So
yeah,
I just kind of eventually moved here.
Right.
But yeah, it took a long time. I mean, like I was visiting here for like years, like 5 years before I actually did it.
Yeah.
And then once I got here, I felt so much better because I was like, you know, I was at home, I was like depressed and I didn't, there was just something wrong and I didn't know what it was. And, moving doesn't necessarily solve those kind of problems, but it can help you sort of, you know, cope with it. And, you know, being in a new place can really help you, you know, set your shit straight.
Yeah. Well, if you look at it in terms of your job, San Jose has a great skate scene, or at least did when I was growing up there. And, you know, so does Los Angeles. So
yeah, I mean, like, you know, at that time, like the skate scene was kind of like, you know, people were like not skating as much, and you know, it's like getting to this point where like it was like this Groundhog's Day every day, same thing, you know, same whatever, and I was just like, dude, like, you know, I can't take this anymore. So that's kind of like what drove me to get out of there.
I got out of San Jose as soon as I could. I was like, I turned 18 and then was gone. Never went back.
Yeah. Me neither. I didn't really, when I moved, I didn't really like, it wasn't very serious. I didn't really tell anybody. I was just like, I just got an apartment here, but I kept my house there. So like, I was like, you know, I'm just going to see what's up and then maybe I'll be back. But then, but then I just never went back.
Back to San Jose. See, I don't know. See, you have a completely different experience with living in Silicon Valley than I do. Because like I wanted nothing more than to get the fuck out of there as soon as possible. Yeah,
I think like I had this weird cushion there because like I was just a pro skater, and then there was like a stronger scene, and I was totally comfortable, and I was traveling constantly. So like coming back to San Jose was like very comfortable and nice.
Yeah,
and
it's nice and calm. It's just like it's got a.
And we also had this feeling of like, oh, this is like our thing. Like it's very special here. You know, like it's whatever, but we make it really awesome. You know, we had that feeling.
Yeah.
But then that feeling started to go away, and like some people stayed and some people left. But whatever. Like I just was like, I need to, you know, explore other stuff.
Yeah. The amount of overlap between you and me is kind of crazy because we both grew up in Almaden. And like I never really knew you until through my sister, but like I went to the YMCA skate camp.
Yeah.
Not the one, I went to the one in Visalia every single year, but I would go to the one in, I think it was Campbell, the Northwest YMCA camp.
Yeah.
And I would skate with all those guys, Matt Evans and Chris Black and Jesse Erickson and stuff.
Yeah,
Like I would
so
skate
funny.
when I think you have like maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years older than me, but when I was a tiny kid, like that was it. I remember.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like it was small, it was tight. It, like,
Yeah.
you know, here it's so different. Like it's so sprawling, and there's so many different groups, and it doesn't feel as it doesn't feel like it did back there. You know, it was like it's kind of like an intimate skate scene back then, like where you would run into people like that a lot. But here it's different. You run into so many different weird crews and, you know, people from other countries all the time. Like it's crazy here.
Yeah, I like LA. I mean, it's taken a while for it to grow on me because I lived in San Francisco for like 8 years in the Mission in the same apartment. And that really became my reality. And then it's a huge shift. Like you talk about having some kind of Los Angeles or Southern California stigma living in Northern California, but like living in San Francisco, it's even worse.
Oh, yeah.
Because people in San Francisco are very, very insular, and it's kind of a small elite club, you know, living in the city.
No, there's like a total attitude about living there. Like a huge attitude.
Well, you earned that. Like, honestly, those people earned that attitude.
Yeah. So, I definitely grew up with like, you know, that this place was, you know, not worth living in. But it really suits me because it's just like, you know, it's big, it's sprawling. There's like a lot of stuff going on. And you can drive 20 minutes and be in like another world, you know, you can be like in the valley, downtown, and then like you're in East LA, and then you're like in Inglewood or whatever. And then there's the beaches and whatever. Like, I'm not trying to like, you know, advertise LA or anything, but I like how weird it is here. Back home, it wasn't like that. So it's just nice to be here.
Yeah.
Because if I want to like go skate, there's like every option. Or if I want to like go walk around and shoot photos, I can just like go to some weird area I've never been to, and you know,
it's a little different for me. Like when living in San Francisco, I could just skate down to Potrero or to Soma skate parks once they built Soma. But like here, I have to get in a car and I have to go somewhere.
Yeah, that's everyone's like number one complaint about this place is like, everything's spread out. You have to drive.
Yeah.
And I don't really care about that.
You don't care?
No, not
you got
really.
a brand new Tesla, so you're set.
Yeah, actually, I have an '89 Toyota pickup, and it's like it wouldn't start the other day.
Oh shit!
So or yesterday actually. So it's like actually like I think I have to get a new car.
Yeah, I have a 15-passenger van, so that's not helpful either.
Oh,
it's like driving around a house. I hit somebody today too, not hard, but coming from Highland Park. I was at Sunbeam Vintage. You ever been that shop?
Maybe. Is it next to a bar?
No. Well, it could be. It's in Highland Park. It's
I don't know.
I've
been to one in Highland Park, but I don't know.
It's a pretty well-known like mid-century furniture store. But we were coming back and I bumped into this lady in my car. But my car weighs like 3 tons, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But luckily, I got lucky. She just said, forget it. I could deal without all the driving here, but that's such a cliche of a complaint.
Yeah, I
the
like
traffic.
I like don't care. I can.
Traffic's bad everywhere.
If I had like a 9-to-5 job where I had to like sit in traffic every fucking day, then I would probably not feel this way. But you know, like I have way more choices, so I can just like take my time and not, you know, I don't have to like take those routes that are just, you know, fucking awful.
Yeah. Were you skating today?
No, not really. I got up kind of late because I was kind of stayed up late at my friend's house. So today I've done pretty much nothing. I like put oil in my truck. That's the only thing I did today.
Nice.
And then got a coffee and came here.
You do the high mileage engine, high viscosity oil. Or just use straight regular.
I just like whatever, just like regular.
Yeah.
Yeah. I I don't know anything.
Do it
about
yourself
car.
though.
I mean, I just put oil in the car because I felt like that's what was wrong with it the other day. So I just, I was just like, oh.
Okay. Yeah. So what have you been up to recently? I mean, I saw, but in the last couple months, you dropped the online store for the clothing brand.
Well, I've just been working on that stuff, and I don't know. I've just been learning more about learning how to use Illustrator and learning about design and making stuff, because I just started this thing a year ago, but it was kind of on accident. It wasn't like a deliberate thing. I wasn't like, I'm going to start this company.
You're just more having fun. Like, I'm going to make some shit.
Yeah, basically.
For myself.
Yeah, basically I was kind of, in this weird slump, and my wife was just kind of had enough, and she was just listen, she gave me a notebook and was just hey, just write down some stuff, write down some names of things, and it doesn't have to be anything. And I was like, all right. And of course I didn't listen to her, but I just kind of looked at the book after a couple of days and just started writing stuff down. And then that's how I came up with the name, which is Sci-Fi Fantasy. But and then I just made some hats and I gave them to my friends, and that was it. And then there was just kind of a response, and I was like, oh, maybe I should make more stuff. So I kind of just that's how it happened. So now it's just a small little thing that I do. But
it's a small little thing that's in Supreme and Dover Street Market.
Yeah, which I'm I got lucky, but but yeah, it wasn't a thing that I really intended on being this. But now I'm glad I did it, because it kind of pays for everything. It doesn't really make that much money, but because I don't really have sponsors anymore, skating. I just sort of started to not care about that stuff, and those sponsors just kind of went away. And I didn't really care about it anymore. So
really?
I'm glad that I started this thing. So it's just kind of that's kind of my job now.
Well, how long has it been since they sent you on a trip or you were filming a part? I mean, I quit chocolate over a year ago, just because I was just over it. And then America, they just kind of let me go, because they didn't fulfill their contract. They kind of just called me and they were just hey, we're not gonna do this with you anymore, which was a crazy shock and pretty upsetting. I just kind of, okay, fuck, I can take a hint. If it's political, you don't have to say, but did they do that to more than one team rider?
No, they kind of singled me out, because that was the first thing I asked. I was like, okay, I understand you guys aren't doing as well as you used to. I get it, but
not selling as many shoes, or
yeah, people, they don't really buy those shoes as much anymore. So they have to, they have to do these types of things. But I'm not defending them. I'm just saying.
Even after the popularity of those videos.
Making those videos, there might be a little spike.
Yeah,
but they don't really make that much of a difference, because it's pretty rare that a video can really change the tide like that.
Mm-hmm.
They are advertising tools, the videos, but it didn't do anything in terms of sales. It's just sort of it's just about kids wanting other types of shoes way more. They want Nike shoes and Cons and Adidas and stuff like that. So that's just what's in now, and that's the shit that companies like that have to face. It's if you don't adapt or be pretty revolutionary, you're those other companies will just they'll eat you up. So anyways, so I lost that sponsor. That was my big sponsor. It was paying for everything, and they kind of just pulled the rug from under me, and I was like, fuck, that's pretty fucking lame. But whatever.
But if they were downsizing because of costs and stuff, wouldn't they have on more than one person?
Well, that's an argument. That's a good point, because maybe they just didn't want me around anymore. I don't really know. Companies come up with all kinds of excuses to do whatever the fuck that they do.
Right.
So
yeah, somebody will say it's one thing, you never really know.
Yeah, they told me that they hired a kind of outside like when you like hire someone to come in and like kind of audit your company and be like, yo, like what are we doing wrong?
Yeah.
So they hired this outside person in, and they kind of on paper, I think they just kind of looked at me and was like, well, this guy doesn't really like do that much. He doesn't like post videos on Instagram. He doesn't like do the things. So maybe he's not really worth having around. So, but you know what? Like I was like upset about it, but like honestly in the end, like I was kind of, fuck them for doing this in such a like lame way. But I don't know, like I don't really want to like film video parts for them anymore, and I don't want to like do stuff for them anymore. I was like kind of like tired of it. So I was just kind of like, I guess I was trying to also rationalize what had just happened and being like, okay, maybe I have more freedom to do other things now. And
that's what you did.
That's just proven to be true. Yeah. I was just trying to like, make lemonade out of the situation, because it was pretty lame, man. Because like the first thing I did was I had just recently hired a lawyer for sci-fi. And so I sent him my America contract because I was like, can they do this to me?
Is there like a non-compete clause or something?
Well, there was a clause, but basically, I don't know the name of it, but it's basically like the company they literally have the right to let you go for any reason that they come up with.
Oh.
So
I was going to say a non-compete clause where if you make shoes or something, then they belong to them.
I mean,
right.
Yeah, that's too complicated. Like a company like America wouldn't do things like that. Like,
yeah.
I think when you get into the upper,
it's not that crazy.
Like, yeah, like if you sign with like, crazy big companies, those types of things come into play. But really, like, at that level of skate contract, it's just like, this is how much you get paid for this, how many years, and then, they're not that crazy. But I trusted them, so I never really like had anyone look at it, which is kind of a mistake. But you should always have people look over those things. But I just didn't, because I was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
That's just how I am. Sort of not. Sometimes I'm not careful.
Yeah. Okay. Well, obviously, I mean, look what you do.
Yeah.
You're kind of you slam a lot too.
Yeah. In life and in skating.
Yeah. Same. Yeah, it seems like some guys, like, I always looked at, who was it? Rick McCrank falls really well. You never see him fall too crazy, and it looks like he's always, I don't know, just always knows how to fall.
No, some people are like that, like Costin or Mark Johnson. Like they like, when they fall, it's like, it's everybody was like, whoa, like because they don't ever really slam. So when they do, you're like, oh shit, like,
yeah,
it's surprising.
So you got out of the shoe contract thing, and
I was taken out of it.
You were taken out of it. Yeah, it's being or euphemistic.
Yeah.
So then that you just put more energy into making stuff. You're like, let's try it.
I don't know. I just,
because it's a lot of people do their little vanity company,
I didn't care. I mean, everyone's like, who are you gonna ride for? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I wasn't even interested in finding a new sponsor or anything, like a board sponsor or a shoe sponsor or anything. I kind of was just like, I don't know. I just started to I just didn't think about it. And it was nice. Like, I could just ride boards I wanted to ride and wear shoes I wanted to wear. And
you don't have any obligations? What kind of stuff, besides from filming and going on trips, are you... Obviously, that's a big deal to be required to have a part done. But what else do they make you do?
They expect
that would turn you off and make you sick of it.
Well, I mean, I don't want to like complain about what I had to do, but the things that they want you to do is like, you have to go to like poster signings and you have to like, just, I mean, most of it is just filming and shooting photos and doing that whole thing, which I didn't really like mind that much at all. But when it came time to be like, all right, like, you don't have to do this anymore, I was just kind of like, oh, well, all right, then I'm not going to do it anymore.
So what are you down to as far as the contracts?
Nothing.
Really?
I'm down to nothing.
Wow. Is that because it seems like there'd be some kind of mold. Like you'd want to follow someone else's steps. Like if you look at skateboarders into their 30s or 40s or 50s, you'd want to model yourself after somebody, or figure out how to do it, because it's, as far as life decisions, you know, or as far as like, I don't know, once you can't skate anymore, or you're like unable to physically do stuff anymore, whatever happens over time, is that normal to just be like, have no sponsors anymore?
Well, I mean, it literally happens to everybody, you know, like,
it does?
I mean, like every person who gets like plucked up when they're a teenager and becomes a pro skater, like, they all need to think about when the ride's over. And and some people are prepared for it, and other people are really, really unprepared for it. And I would say that I was like pretty prepared, you know what I mean? Like, the only reason that I can sit here and be like, oh, like, you know, I didn't really care anymore, it's because I prepared. It's because I had some things ready for myself, so I didn't have to like scramble and, you know what I mean? Like, most people don't have that luxury, but I would just like always knew that this time would arrive. So I didn't have to like go out and get a job. I could still do something creative and like earn a living. I guess if that answers your question, like, you know, I just sort of, there is no model really. There's just like, you know, shit's gonna end, and you should think about being ready for that. That's pretty much all skaters have to think about in terms of being a pro skater and having it end or whatever. But as far as like a model, there really is not. The only real model is just like, you're gonna have to get a job eventually.
Yeah, I was thinking about Cab, because he seems like he's gracefully gotten older. He still skates. Well,
I mean, like, yeah, but like that's not a very general example. Like, Cab is one of he's one of the luckiest skaters who's ever lived. Like, he has like the shoe. He's just skateboard royalty. Like, there's no one, like, he will like have this life that he has for the rest of his life. Right. And he's had it since he was like, whatever, like 10. So, you know, sure, that's something to strive for, but he's also kind of unlike anybody. There's nobody like, I mean, there's a few people like him, but the position that he's in is like, it's so special. Yeah. That like no one,
it's so unusual.
Yeah. Like no one can be like, oh, I'll just like bow out like Cab, so graceful and rich and happy. You know what I mean? Like, people don't have those choices. Like, I couldn't do that. I couldn't just be like, like, how come I'm not, you know, in Cab's position when, you know, when he was in his 30s or whatever. So, yeah, it's sort of like
a lot of that is contingent on just the fact that he was one of the first people to take the sport to like on the highest level.
Yeah, I mean,
back in the 80s, and then having like one of the the best shoes, best selling shoes.
He's one of the most famous skaters on earth. Like, you can't like.
Okay, so maybe that's not. Yeah, so maybe that's a red herring example. Well, especially now, because like if you look at your career, it's not like, say, if you were. I guess every industry changes, but like the industry's only been around since. So the industry itself is only like 30 or less than 40 years old. So
yeah, I mean, like it's young and it's new, and there's no like you don't exactly get taken care of. It's not like there's no institutions, there's no organizing bodies, there's no unions.
Yeah,
you're pretty much just like on your own. In the end, like
it's like music.
Yeah, like it is like that. Like, you know, many industries that like take creative people and like make money off them, they generally like don't really take care of them unless they're like really special. You know, like Cab's name, like you know, you can put Cab's name on shit and sell it forever. You know what I mean? Like, but you know, you can't take someone else and do the same thing. Like, it just doesn't work like that. And those types of people will just be like, all right, like, goodbye. And, you know, they're going to have to like figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Skateboarding is kind of cruel in that way, but like that's the chance you have to take. Like, you have to like know that kind of shit when you're making those choices.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like if you're like, this is what I'm going to devote my life to. Like, you better be fucking ready for like some shit like that to happen, where like people will just be like, all right, like, you are not valuable to us anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to complain. I hope I don't sound like that. I'm just trying to like,
That's the way it works.
yeah, just try
Ways
to
always
just trying to explain that that's how it works, and just be ready for it. Like, you know, when it happened to me, I was kind of like, oh, I was, you know, it wasn't that surprising. Like I was doing my job. I was doing what they asked me to do. So in that respect, I was kind of like, oh, well, that's kind of fucked up. But I was also kind of like, well, I'm not really like working as hard as I used to. So,
but you've been doing that. I mean, that's not the first time you've been dropped from a sponsorship. Is it? And that couldn't be.
Like, well, I haven't really been kicked off sponsors or let go from sponsors very often. I think that like maybe like one other time that happened. I don't know. Like I generally had like been doing a pretty good job. So like, you know, yeah, that never really happened. That was kind of the first big one.
It
where
seems
I was
like if you've been doing it that like, as long as you have that, you'd have experience.
I mean, like companies that go out of business, you know, they'll
right.
Like sponsors will be like, yeah, we're done, and I'm like, okay, you know, whatever.
That's different.
But it was rare that out of nowhere, like an important sponsor would be like, yeah, like we're not, we're letting you go. That I don't think had ever happened.
Okay. So over a year, you built it up, and then you just dropped the shop just now, the sci-fi.
Well, stuff. I just put it in stores. I just put it in Supreme because like my friends work there, and they were like, yeah, we'll put it in the store. And I was like, sure, yeah. And then
it's cool as fuck.
And then I just eventually made an online store, and that did well. And yeah, you know, it was just sort of like was happening, and there was like this demand, and I had to like meet it. I just felt like if I like made this thing and just was so indifferent and didn't care about it and tried to.
Sorry, but weren't you wearing the hat? Like I think I saw something where you were wearing the hat more than a year ago.
Well, yeah, it would be. I made the hats in I think April or May 2017. So like I just kind of
first ones.
Yeah, like but those were I just made 24, and I wore one, and then I gave the rest to my friends.
Yeah.
And then
when I first saw, I was like, oh, it's just some shit he found in a thrift store or something.
Yeah, which I like that people think that, but I guess it would have been at this point. It's like a year and 4 or 5 months or whatever. But,
okay. But so you're doing it to meet demand. It just
that's what kind of like what I was gonna say was it was like this opportunity that I probably shouldn't squander. Is what everyone was like, yo, like we understand that you just want to like mess around, but you can probably like take this somewhere, you know. And especially my wife, she was just like, yo, like you should really like kind of make it work or like really do it, or at least try it. And I was like, okay. So that's what I did, is I like learned how to do everything, and I do it by myself too.
Yeah.
So like it's funny because so many people like will write me and complain about it not being available or something, and it's just like, well, because they're comparing me to other companies, like companies, you know, like, well, you know, why don't you have as much stuff, or, you know, why don't you make things like this, or why isn't it at this level? And I'm just like, because like it's literally like I do it in my apartment.
Yeah.
You know, like I can't, and it's expensive. I can't just like do that.
Right.
So that's something I wish I could just tell people. And I do actually. I like kind of respond to people, and then other people will see those comments and be like, oh, okay, like he does this by himself. And I'm not trying to like make an excuse as to why or about anything, but I'm just like trying to explain that this is such a small operation.
Well, I think most people would think not that you don't have the infrastructure or money to do it. They would think you're doing that on purpose to create demand.
Yeah, they definitely think there's like a lot of people come up to me and be like, dude, this like master plan of yours is really working. And I'm just like, dude,
it kind of looks that like way, to be honest. Like, it's like, is he some kind of marketing genius?
I mean, like accidentally, like I definitely understand like supply and demand and the whole market of exclusivity or whatever, but I mean, half of it is just some kind of like I'm distracted.
Yeah.
And half of it is I literally just can't produce that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely people complain about it having this like pretentious sort of attitude regarding, the production. And I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever. I can't control all those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I like physically send every order too.
Yeah.
So like a shop that orders it, like I pack it up, I send it out. And if like whatever during like the online things, like I literally like pack every single order. So
cool.
And there's always mistakes.
Are you gonna do like seasons or just do it when you feel?
I just kind of like do it how I feel because I don't have to subscribe to the season calendar. I can just do whatever I want.
Right.
So that's nice. This like sort of like internet like self-autonomy. You can really just do whatever you want. You don't have to subscribe to those schedules, which is nice.
I got this for you too.
Thank you.
Speaking of making things yourself, I did all this design. It's got a bunch of fun stuff in there.
Great. Thank you. That's great. Cool. I'll look at that later.
So where else can you pick up who else is stocking your brand?
Like Lottie's in LA, and then like just a bunch of other stores all over the world now. Like I made a line sheet and sent it out to some stores. So like next week when everything is done, I have to like ship everything out. So there's too many lists, but there's probably like, I don't know, 20 stores.
Yeah.
And I just tried to pick, like certain ones hit me up and then certain ones I kind of reached out to. And then I just try to like spread it out that way.
Yeah. For people who don't know, line sheet is like stick figure designs of your clothes.
A line sheet is basically, it's just like, here's what I'm going to make. And like, if you want it, you can order it and I'll make it for you. So I've just been like learning how to do all that stuff, which is like funny because I've been around that shit my whole fucking life, skating. I've been around these companies that have been doing this, since since I was a little kid, but I never really paid attention because I just took it for granted. And then, when I was like learning it, I was like, fuck, I wish I paid a little bit more attention when I was just like hanging around all these companies, when I was a kid. I didn't even know how to like make a PDF. Like I didn't even like know how to do anything.
Yeah.
Like that's how spoiled I was. Such basics. My friends were just like, dude, are you kidding me? I was like, how do you make an invoice and how does this work? Like what, like they were like, what? That's crazy. And it's funny. That's what being a pro skater does to you. Like you sort of, you get so much, but you also are denied. Just kind of like if you don't really go out and
like a young king.
Basically, yeah, like like you kind of like don't you aren't forced to learn certain things like most people are. So like like I didn't know how to make a fucking invoice and everybody would just laugh at me and I'd be like, fuck, I just don't know how to do it. But I'm not like too proud to not ask. I'm just like, I don't know how to do
this. Slap your logo on there, pull it up in Microsoft Word template or something. Right?
Exactly. Like now I know that, but I was just like making other people do the simplest things for me.
That thing was a pretty big undertaking on my own too, because there's so many moving parts. Starting, clothing companies like that, I'm sure, but it was just one thing after another, so many little weird details. Yeah, dude,
like I'm making a book right now and there's like so many things that I have to, like a photo book that I have to like think about, that's just so many layers and so many, because obviously like I want to have
You're
control.
You're self-publishing it?
No, this publisher in New York is publishing it. I just told them I wanted to be involved, which I do. But in asking that, like every little thing I have to be, how do you want this? How do you want this? Like thinking about this and,
I don't know, the font, like the type of paper, I don't know.
Like size, cover design, page count, layout, it just is a little bit endless, because especially the design of the cover, it has to be, there's material, there's, aesthetics, font, photo on the cover, no photo on the cover, material. I don't know if I said that, but, there's just like you said,
A lot of
there's like
decisions,
so
yeah.
many decisions and moving
But you
parts.
don't have to do that all by yourself.
No, there's a whole team, but like I just want to be involved a lot, you know, in this process, because I published this other book before and I wasn't as involved with the publishers, and it just came out and I was like pretty upset because I just had never done it before, and I was traveling for skating and I was really busy doing stuff, and I was just like, listen, like just I trust you guys, just do it. And then when it came out, there were so many problems and so many things that I disagreed with. So this time I'm trying to
You can learn too.
Sure. I mean, that was me learning, was like this thing came out that I kind of hated. I didn't hate it, but there was just, when you make something, the things that you don't like about it are, you know, so big and bold. And
Yeah.
it's all you can see sometimes.
Yeah.
So it was just one of those things where other people would be like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, it's fine. It looks good. But I'd be like, but when you make something, you see all of its faults. Like,
Oh, you can't see clearly.
Yeah, you can't
It's
see
like trying
clearly
to
at all.
mix your own song, which is just notoriously difficult.
Yeah. That's why, like editing your own photos.
Yeah.
Some people can do it. Some people are good at it. I'm not good at it. Like when a professional editor works with me, I'm just like, yes, like please, like help me with this.
Yeah. So you're turning the Nazi gold into a
Yeah, I'm turning that into a book. It's just sort of like I'm doing like from the beginning, which is like 2009 to I think like 2013 for that series.
I saw the Beautiful Losers show at the Orange County Museum of Art, and when it was opened in 2000, must have been 5 or 6, and it totally changed me. I loved it. And then after moving to San Francisco, I really saw the city a lot differently after having been to that show, and just knowing about, I don't know. There's a lot of like your friend Ed is in that show, and a lot of skaters in that show.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah.
As far as skateboarding, art.
Yeah.
Venn diagram.
Yeah. Ed's a big part of that.
Yeah. Really rad. Are you gonna so you're gonna have an opening and stuff for the book?
Yeah, probably 2 openings, like one in New York, one in LA. I don't know. I'm not thinking about that. Like, openings are openings are stressful.
Yeah.
So I don't like. I wouldn't mind if there were no openings, but I'm sure the publishers will insist. But yeah, I would be happy just like putting it out and that's it. Like, here it is.
Yeah, you don't like the fanfare?
No, I mean, it's fine. But it's just stressful.
Yeah.
I'm just like
Well, I have the actually what I was thinking was if I were to make a book, I would think of all the really great art books that I like the most.
Sure.
Because I have a lot of art books, and the Beautiful Losers one is one of them. It's amazing. I love that I have that book, and I like to look at it even after so many years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not like working from scratch. You know, I reference all my favorite stuff to try and like, you know, see what will work with this project. So, you know, there's a lot of, I've been thinking a lot about what design and size and layout is right for this project. And I have like all my books to look at and kind of be like, all right, I think this from here will work. And from over here, I'm going to say this. So, yeah, I like literally I'm getting texts from my editor about, have you approved the cover design? And I'm just like, I haven't received any mock-ups. And he's like, okay, let me figure that out. Like dealing with this stuff. Like,
yeah, I remember with the printing company that did the vinyl, it was countless emails, hundreds in the same thread.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm like, how do people do anything before email? They were just more efficient. They were just like, get on the phone and handle it instead of just like hundreds of emails.
What's the company that's publishing it?
It's called Anthology Editions. They were a record label, or maybe they still are. I don't know, but they just make books now too.
That's cool. What was the other book you did before this one? Was it the eating for one thing?
No, it was called The Killing Season, and it was just about a trip that I took to Vietnam. It was just like kind of like a from start to finish, just like my photos from the trip. It's just like this trip I went on. I got the opportunity to make something, so I just did.
Weren't you doing some music stuff back when you were living in San Jose? I think somebody told me you had a studio in the house that you bought or something like that.
Yeah, but that wasn't mine. That was my friend John and actually Chris Black. They just rented it out for a few months and just like played there because I had a basement.
Oh, nice.
But I never really like did music or anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just had that like for them. They just wanted a space, so I let them use the space.
Watching your Epically Later too, it made me think, wow, we grew up in the same part of San Jose. I don't know, it's weird. It's a small world sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to that Northwest YMCA camp all the time. I remember when I was a kid, we were shooting a high 8 video. My friend had a high 8 camera. And I think it was like just before mini DV or something like that. And Mark Johnson was at the Northwest YMCA that day. My buddy Nick, who had the camera, we were shooting our video called From Day One or something. Mm-hmm. And no one had the courage, but I went and asked Mark Johnson if he would say, "Hi, I'm Mark Johnson, you're watching From Day One," which is like our little kid video. Mm-hmm. And he said no. He said no to me. It's like, okay, all right, not a problem.
Yeah, he has a lot of different moods. So maybe you caught him in a bad one.
Maybe. It's too bad. But I remember Steve Cavalier was there once playing chess and stuff, and he gave me a pair of, I was really young. I must have been maybe 13 or 12 or something. But he gave me a pair of prototype shoes that weren't out yet, or that were like a testing color or something. Mm-hmm. It's pretty fun.
That's nice.
Yeah. Seemed like a nice guy. What about, what are the surgeries that you've had like over the years?
Let's see, like fractured elbow. They had to there's a screw in it. Like reconstructive ankle surgery, which was pretty bad. And then 2 knee surgeries, one really bad. But that's about it. The ankle one was bad. I tore the whole, the muscle that's on the outside of your ankle, it just basically tore in half. Mm-hmm. And they had to and it happened in China, which was awful. And then, but I didn't get surgery there. I came home and I actually had to see Danny Way's surgeon. That's when I started seeing, he became my surgeon too, but I was having so much trouble healing, and Anthony Van Engelen was like, "Oh, well, you should go see this guy in San Diego who's Danny Way's doctor."
I think I heard about that somewhere.
Yeah, so
he's
I was
known for
his name is Dr. William Previte.
It's not chiropractics, is it?
No, that's a different dude. I've been to that dude too, but Dr. William Previte is he's a gnarly orthopedic surgeon. He does a lot of sports people. So yeah, he did this thing to my ankle where you basically slice it open and literally sew the muscle back together. It's called the Bromsky technique or something. It was invented for ballerinas.
Wow.
So when ballerinas hurt their ankles, it was
it's high impact.
So it was
your feet.
Yeah, so that was my ankle surgery, and then he also did my knee surgery, which was really devastating. I really thought I would never skate again. But that surgery was, I had to get a thing called microfracture, which is just to quickly go down what that is basically, and what it's for. So basically cartilage in your knee, it wears away and it causes pain, and cartilage does not regenerate by itself. And so, normally when you get your knee cleaned out and you get a scope, they usually just go in and they just kind of clean up the cartilage that's just become jagged and it's causing pain. And they just kind of smooth it out for you. That's what a normal knee scope is. Okay. But my knee, the cartilage in my knee had degenerated to such an extreme level that there kind of wasn't no more. And So I had to do this thing called microfracture where they go into your knee and they create small fractures in the bone, and then blood that's in the bone marrow of your bones will and the stem cells that are in that blood will mix with the cartilage that's there, it'll just mix with that, and the stem cells will regrow the cartilage. It's kind of like this weird, it's like a miracle type of procedure.
And is it just high impact stuff that makes your cartilage degrade?
I mean, high impact would obviously.
Or did you do something specific?
I did not do something specific. It was just wear and tear. It was just me, pushing my body to a point where it was reacting in this way. So that happened and it worked, but the recovery was so awful that I really was I'm never going to skate again. I was so psychologically damaged from it because when you being that hurt really messes your mind up, and especially being a skateboarder and expecting yourself to do certain things. I was I'm never going to be there again because the recovery was 8 months. And normal knee surgery recoveries are even if you do an ACL thing, it is not nearly that long. I mean, it took months for me to even walk. So,
oh man, how long ago was that one?
That was in 2000. Let's see, 5 or 6, maybe 6.
Oh my God!
So it was, it was pretty awful, and it that type of surgery ends people's careers. My doctor was listen, you're just the right age for this to still work. If you were a little bit older, this surgery would not help you. It would just kind of because that basketball player Chris Webber, he played for the Lakers. He got this surgery, and he was. I don't know if he was too old or if it didn't work, but he couldn't play basketball anymore at that level.
Shit.
And so it was really scary getting this surgery because I didn't know where I would be when I don't know. I didn't know where my body would be at when I recovered. So
you'd be working in the warehouse.
Yeah, or something. I would just I wouldn't be able to skate at that level anymore. But thankfully, it worked out, and I never had problems with that knee again. It just sort of worked, so it fixed the problem.
Nice.
But it was definitely scary, and surgeries are terrible. You should if you don't have to get a surgery, don't fucking do it.
Yeah, I've had
do whatever you can to not do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have. I broke my fibula skating. And I've had a couple concussions, but definitely the plate and the pins that are in my ankle, it never goes away. It's really hard to have it be normal again, or even have the same confidence.
Yeah,
when it's there.
Yeah. I mean, it just becomes the way you are. This is what I am now. As far as pain goes, and when my ankle, sure, he fixed the problem, but there's scar tissue and my ankle. I remember what it was like when my ankle didn't feel like this. You know what I mean? And I think about it sometimes. This is just the way my body's gonna be now.
Wait, so how old are you now? You're 38?
I'm 36.
36. Oh, I didn't mean to say that you look older than you are. So how often do you go out if you're not required to skate?
Dude, sometimes I won't skate for
I saw you on at LA High. I was driving home from work.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Last year or something.
Yeah.
I saw you out in the front.
Yeah, I love that spot. That's one of my favorite spots.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I won't skate for 2 weeks. And then sometimes I'll go out a few times a week. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I just don't feel good, or things don't work out. All kinds of shit happens when you get older. That prevent you from skating.
Yeah.
But I still love to skate. I skated yesterday.
Yeah. Have you skated that Home Depot spot that's over there really close to here?
The curbs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there a bunch of times.
That's so fun.
Sometimes we meet up over there. I don't know, just wherever. We'll just start at a park, and if someone wants to skate a street spot, we'll go there, or it's funny.
Yeah.
It's really random now. Like it's really just like you kind of have to be like, hey, what are you guys doing? Because I'm sort of like off the radar. Like I'm not, because like, you know, think about you and your homies and like think about the homies that you call every day to go skate.
Yeah.
And if one of them like gets hurt or gets a job or whatever, like it's kind of like up to them to tell you guys what like that they like want to skate, because once you're out of the rotation, it's funny. Like you're just kind of out of it, and they'll check in with you every once in a while, but like on a day-to-day thing, like people will always complain like, dude, like why didn't you hit me up? You guys all went skating. It's just like, dude, because you never skate and you're out of the rotation. Like you're just kind of out of our like,
because you're out of the rotation.
Yeah, like
dude.
you're out of like our, as far as our skate consciousness goes, like our day-to-day skate consciousness, like you kind of fell out of it. So it's kind of up to you. Like people always complain about it. They always want to whine like, why didn't you guys call me? And it's just like, dude, because you're not in our rhythm right now.
Right.
And you just have to, that's just something that you have to like,
yeah.
You know, you have to take it upon yourself sometimes.
Are you filming? You're not filming all the time?
No, I do, but I've been filming lately because my friend Jeff is making another Boys of Summer video. So like I've been trying to like get stuff for that. So, and like filming feels good, man. Like, I mean, it sucks and it's awful, but when you get something you're stoked on, dude, like that's like why you skate.
Yeah.
Like to feel that shit. And so it's been good. It's nice to have a project. I'm actually super happy about it, because otherwise I wouldn't really be filming. I would just be skating with my friends for fun. And but then you miss the feeling. So it's like, it's nice when a project comes up, you know. Like from now on, I feel like, you know, if a friend has a video part, I'll be like, oh, like let me film a trick for it, you know. Like that's how I'm gonna get that feeling. But you know, unless I become sponsored again, I'm not really gonna like, I'm probably not gonna like do things on my own. Like I don't need to like destroy myself to make a video part for no reason.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice. It's nice to put out a project and work super hard on it, and it feels great. But it's probably unlikely that I'm just going to do that on my own, because it's hard. It's hard on like, you know, I'm not getting any younger, so like it just becomes harder and harder like every time.
That's definitely the thing that you need some kind of catalyst to do.
Yeah, you definitely need a lot of
people pushing you too.
Yeah, you need a lot of inspiration at this point. Like when you're a kid, like you just are a factory of footage. But then like, you know, you get to a certain place and like you're just like, whoa, like I physically, like my mind, like all my ideas are still the same. Like they're at that level, but then like I can't execute these ideas anymore. And that becomes like a very frustrating part of aging and being a skater, is like you still have all these ideas, but you just can't really do them anymore. Like, you know, if I think about it, like, oh,
it's
that'd
like
be cool.
In music too, you become a manager or something.
Yeah, you just have to like evolve.
You project it.
Yeah, you
younger.
Yeah, you have to evolve. Like, you know, you can still love something, but not in the same way. You have to adapt. The last video part I made, like that American one, I had to really adapt. I had to really like change the way I skated. I had to change the things I was skating, because if I tried to go skate like stairs or something, I would be like, I couldn't skate for 2 weeks because I was just so thrashed.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm not going to waste my time doing that anymore. So I had to like think about it. Like I just had to like change my perspective.
Yeah. Before I broke my ankle really bad, I was skating in high school. I was skating castle, and I did that. That was the only thing I did was skateboarding and, you know, castle contests and whatever else. But after I broke my ankle and then college and stuff, everything just totally changed. My whole perspective on it changed, you know, where not so much age, but just, well, probably college changed it for me.
Yeah.
But I feel like the aging stuff, like I said, in music, it happens too, where you get people who, you know, had a great career and then they'll still, you know, either manage an artist or have some involvement. Definitely, you know, you have to shift your focus, not only because of physical stuff, but just because you're old.
I mean, like, tons of people I know just work in skating, you know? They're team managers, they're designers, they're, you know, open a skate shop, work at a skate shop, whatever. Like, they just want to be around skating. So that's definitely like we were talking about before, what do you do when it's over? Like, definitely so many people, because they're fucking qualified to do that shit. Like, they know about skating and they've been around. I've been around team managers all my fucking life. I'm pretty sure I could nail that job.
Right.
Like, I've seen it all. I've seen good ones and I've seen really bad ones.
Yeah.
So, and it's not that hard. Like, whatever, you manage a bunch of skaters, it's not that bad.
Mm.
It could be. I mean, depending on the skaters, they could be fucking awful. But
do you think you'll ever do boards? Have you guys done like put sci-fi fantasy on decks or anything like that? Or
no, I mean, maybe
have a team?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm being so like weird about it because
it seems like you're like, I'm just gonna do this the way I want to do it.
Yeah, I'm being super self-centered about it.
Yeah,
I'm just like I've never done something like this before, and I've seen the way that people have done this kind of stuff before, and I just like don't want to do it that way.
Mm.
And I'm sort of I'm being like a wuss about certain things. I'm being like indecisive, and definitely my friends are just like, yo, like, why don't you just like do this thing this way? Like, don't be so contrarian about everything. And I definitely take into consideration like what they're saying. But also I just want to go at my own pace about stuff. Like, I don't like, I listen to people, but I don't, but yeah, I mean, like, making boards would be cool. But then, yeah, that opens up so many more questions. Like, oh, so you're making boards now? Like, what's up with the team? What's up with the video? What's up with this? There's this like this standard that's out there.
Sounds like pressure.
And it is pressure, and that's fine. And like, it would be motivational, but at the same time, is that what I want to do? I'm sort of just like figuring stuff out because, things have been changing for me. So like, what do I really want? Do I want to create this thing that's going to like consume my daily life for the next like however many years? Like, do I want to do that? And, answering those questions, it's hard because, do you want to like do the whole thing? Do you want to do this thing, like this whole skateboard company thing?
Yeah.
Or do you want to just kind of do this and then also do other stuff too? Like, yeah, I just don't know. I'm being just weird and indecisive and kind of like, I don't know. I just want to keep my day-to-day shit open for, because some days I want to do this, everything in, and then the next day I don't. I'm like, I want to do something else.
Yeah.
Like, not necessarily just like, I don't want, not that I'm like giving up, but I'm just like, I want to like if I want to like just edit photos and make a zine or something, or go out and shoot something, or I have an idea for something, I want to be able to just like be in control of all that stuff. And, if I had like, cause dude, doing sci-fi just now, it's very time consuming. I had like every day is filled up, and I don't even, it's not even that big or anything.
Right.
So.
Yeah. People don't get that either. A lot of people think that stuff is a lot less work than it actually is. Like this show, for example, takes a lot of hours, like a lot. But I've tried to keep it similar to that, where nobody's telling me what to do, and like I'm gonna work on it when I want to work on it.
Yeah.
And just like trying to keep it fun and not put crazy demands that I have to be accountable for.
Yeah.
On it.
Yeah, totally.
No
yeah,
sponsors.
I have fun doing sci-fi. Like it's like kind of a fun challenge. So it's enjoyable, but like I just don't want it to become something that I hate. Because I just saw that happen so much. You know, like when Mark Johnson started Enjoy, like it was just this fun, rad, new thing that we were all so excited about. But then he just got so fucking burnt. Like one day he was like, I just want to be a skater. Like, I don't want to run this company anymore. This sucks. And, whatever. And he just quit. And we were like, damn, like you must have really felt strongly about not doing this anymore. And it like kind of like put this, it sort of like put this thing into me about doing companies, just watching him, even though he is like,
Well, you can't control it. Everything is eventually going to jump the shark, I feel like. And it's such a rare case, if it's even possible, for something to stay, naive and exciting forever.
No, that's impossible.
Yeah. Jump the shark is a term that they use when stuff gets old and they start doing like gimmicky shit to try and make it work.
Oh, yeah.
But
I didn't know the expression, but yeah,
it's from
But that's everything.
Yeah.
Literally everything. That keeping things the way they are forever is a total fucking fantasy. No one is ever, whatever you do, like it's super rare. Like, because I don't know, man, like you just, especially when you want to get paid for something that you love to do, you're going to have to face a lot of lame decisions, in that realm, because like, it's this classic like creativity versus like commerce, and how do you make that shit work,
right?
For you, because with skating, like your sponsors they're just trying, they're a business, and they just want to use what you do to sell stuff, and that's okay, because like I get stuff from that too. I get my life, I get money, and I get free time, and I get all these experiences in exchange. It's like it's a give. It's just a it's what we've negotiated. But it does get to a point where you start to be kind of like you start doing things you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Because you want to keep it going. You have to do A, B, and C, and you're just like, I don't want to do that, but this is my job, and this is how I make money, so I'll do it. And then that mentality you can go down like a pretty dark path. You know what I mean? Like you can start like just saying, the way you rationalize doing things that you don't want to do, like it can get like crazier and crazier. I would just be, I would see myself doing things that like, I would just be like, dude, this sucks. And why am I fucking doing this? And I would never do this if I
What's a rationalization that would be that crazy?
Like, it's not that crazy. I mean, I'm not like prostituting myself. It's not like that crazy, but I'm just saying, like, I would be on some like skateboard talk show or something and just be thinking to myself, wow, this is the lamest thing I've ever done. I hate this. And like, this is only because my sponsor asked me to do it.
Yeah.
Like,
how many skateboard talk shows are there? Yeah.
Not that many, but they come and go or whatever. But But like, and this was years ago. But you just start to like.
Oh, I think I know the one that you might be referring to in this hypothetical example.
But at the same time, you could also argue like, dude, like who fucking cares? Like, look at your life and what you can do and stuff. Right. Like, why are you complaining?
On some side of it, you're being the prima donna.
Yeah, sure. Like that's a conversation I could only truly have with people that are in my same position.
Yeah.
When you try to complain about those types of things to like people who don't do what you do, they're just like, dude, shut up. Like, what, you're complaining? Like, because you don't want to do something you don't want to do. You know what I mean?
It's
like,
weird,
yeah. So like those, I don't want to sound like I'm like whining, but at the same time, I'm just sort of trying to talk about that slippery slope of like, when you get paid to do something you like to do, get ready to not like what you do anymore. You know what I mean? Like, get ready for it. Because like, there's been plenty of times where also like just getting hurt. Like, I'll just be in like the hospital and I'll just be like, great. Why was I trying to do that? Like, I'm like killing myself for these videos, and like my health is like literally on the line, like, coming out of a concussion and like throwing up and be like, why am I doing this? This is crazy. I'm going to like fuck myself up. So, it's just that weird, like, it's just that, like thing that you got to negotiate with yourself. Like, is this what you want? And if so, then be prepared to like deal with hating what you do a little bit. It's just how it works. Like, because if your job is just to like go to work and, do shit for other people, which is like fine, you don't care about it. You're just like, this is my job. And I'm proud of my job. I do a good job and whatever. But then when it's like the thing that you love to do, you're putting that thing in a position
You have to protect it to some degree.
You have to protect it
for yourself.
But you end up not protecting it because you start protecting another part of yourself, which is like, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to buy the things I want? How am I going to do all that fucking shit? I have to skate. I have to, I have to get hurt. I have to like do the things I don't want to do. I have to like do embarrassing shit. I have to, you know what I mean? Like it just gets there. And it's hard to talk about that with certain people because all they see is the good parts.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to sympathize with you about complaints that seem so, that make you seem so spoiled.
Yeah. Like I said, like prima donna.
Yeah. Like,
but
musicians or whatever, or artists or whoever, they're just like, no, I have to go on tour.
But like you said, any industry that turns something creative into a business is notorious for just ripping people up and spitting them out. So, I mean, when you talk about, okay, somebody has like some great major label contract and it has a huge advance on an album or something like that. Yeah, that looks pretty glamorous from the outside, but how many cases do you know where people are just destroyed in that position? Their lives are destroyed and they end up having no money at the end, addicted to drugs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but from the outside, it's all kind of seems,
yeah, because
like a glamorous job.
Yeah, because in the beginning, like no one's thinking about that kind of stuff. No one's. All they're thinking about is like, wow, my dreams have come true. And I definitely don't want to sound as cynical as I probably am sounding, but in the beginning, it's all just like, it's all just magic, and it's all just like my dreams have come true, and like, I'm gonna do my art, and everything is coming true. This is the best, and they don't. Being prepared for all that, the other like dark shit that's coming is, it's hard to think about that stuff because you're too busy enjoying reaching your goals. I did it, and it's only later that kind of stuff. So I've seen so many people just like fall the fuck off. Like just one day they're on top of the world, pro skater, everything is right. And then I'll see them a couple years later and it has all fallen apart like so fast. It was like in a blink of an eye. Drugs, alcohol, sleeping on roofs, like shit like that where you're just like, wow. It's scary. It's scary to see that kind of stuff, man.
Yeah.
Because the thing about industries like music or skating or whatever, like it doesn't teach you discipline and it doesn't teach you aspects of life where if someone isn't just like totally taking care of you and like giving you money every month, then you lose perspective. So if you're like living a certain type of lifestyle and then the next day it's all gone, it's really hard to cope with that. It's hard to have all those luxuries taken away from you that you felt were owed to you. Like this is how I should be treated. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people come out of it thinking like, oh, like why isn't the world treating me like when I was a famous pro skateboarder? And if you have expectations like that, you're going to live a pretty uncomfortable life because no one is going to treat you like that in the real world. Right. There's only one world where you're treated like that, and it's that world, and that world is gone. And so you're going to have to really like figure shit out.
Yeah. Well, then that seems like a lot of people that are able to stick with it. The guy I had on the last episode, from the time he was a teenager, and then later on he had a deal with Capital and then a deal with Atlantic. And then he got dropped by both by the time he was in his 20s. And eventually ended up just taking matters into his own hands and doing it independently and successfully too. And well, what he was saying is that a lot of times it's a myth that, at least in the musical example, they sell this lie that you need to be either treated that way or you need their money to do it. But that you don't really, that's not true.
Yeah, I mean...
so it's kind of like this, like you get caught up in that.
Sure. I mean, the level of manipulation that like companies like that must have over artists doesn't even, like, it blows skateboarding out of the water. Like skateboarding, it's, these are like large corporations, but I mean, things like Capitol Records, like their level of the systems they use to control people, like artists and stuff, I can't even imagine the type of pressure that they put on people to like, do what they want, and like I definitely complain about skating, like the systems in skating, but like in music, it's like I can't even imagine how much easier it is for them to just throw people away, like.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But so with this thing, you're being careful then. You don't want to.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
yourself.
enjoy it and not let it get out of hand. A lot of people want to be like, a lot of people reach out and they want to turn it into something really, really big. And I just, I appreciate that, but I also just disagree with that notion that I need to do that.
Yeah.
Because people, because when people want to be a part of your thing and make it really big, they definitely frame themselves as like, I just want to help, and like you shouldn't. But they also say things like, you shouldn't miss this opportunity, which is sort of like injecting a little bit of fear into you. Like you don't want to lose this chance. So I do feel that, but I also just want to just keep it small. Because being sort of like cash driven to do stuff, I've never really felt that was my style. Like and so why would I do that now if I didn't have to? That's the thing about that, is sometimes people have to do these things. Like I don't. Like I recognize that I'm fortunate enough to have these choices. Sometimes you'll see someone who's made a choice that you feel like, oh, whoa, like people will call it like selling out or something. And sometimes you look at those people and you make that snap judgment. And I mean, sometimes it's true, but sometimes like, dude, like people need to do those types of things. Like if I had a kid or something, like I would make different decisions. I wouldn't be so self-centered about the stuff that I do, or the choices I made. I would have to think about things like that. All I'm saying is like sometimes people like have to do shit like that. Like it's a luxury to have this like philosophical point of view.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people have to take care of shit and they need to make money. And,
right.
So it's just different. It's different for them.
Yeah. I think a lot of people would want to extract the most money out of stuff while they can, like opportunists, come knocking, and it's like, yeah, I'm listening, but I don't necessarily need to buy into this.
Yeah, I mean, the number one thing growing up, like when other older pro skaters we would get to talking, it was always just like, make as much money as you can while you can. And that's just like the number one thing that everyone always said. And it really depends on who you say that to, what they're going to do with that advice. Because like I did that, but I also didn't like go bananas with that idea. Because if you like look at someone like Paul Rodriguez, like he took that idea and he went so far with it, like energy drinks, Target, Starbucks, or whatever. And like I didn't do that. Like that's just not what I'm into. But that's just another thing. Like a lot of kids who skate now, they don't care about those types of things. They'll just be like, yeah, of course, I'm going to ride for Mountain Dew. What? That's just how it works now. Like I come from a time where riding for a company like Mountain Dew was probably the wackest thing you could possibly do. But now it's just normal. It's completely normalized. And I find that interesting. That's like pretty interesting because there's just, and it doesn't, obviously skateboarders are so multidimensional, but there is this segment of skater that looks at Paul Rodriguez and is like, oh, like this is how you do it. Like you gotta be good and then get all the sponsors you possibly can, make a ton of cash, retire young. Like that's their fantasy.
Right.
Like that was never my fantasy. My fantasy was just to just do what I felt until I didn't feel it anymore and then move on. But at the same time, like I can't knock that shit. That's great. Like fucking that dude is like rich and he does whatever he wants and whatever. He's like a cool person. But being in like Taco Bell commercials and stuff, it's just like so the antithesis of what I'm gonna do with with skating.
Uh-huh.
Like it's just so
I don't think anyone.
gross.
It's not your style. Like it's more of following your own style. Your own
Yeah,
heart.
like yeah. It's. I mean, that sounds.
I don't know if anyone would want you endorsing the chalupa.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make sense to some people.
I mean, it would be hilarious, but not that anyone's asking me to promote tacos.
What about a drink? What would your beverage be?
Oh, dude, I don't know. My friend was trying to get me to ride for Monster. He doesn't even have anything to do with it. He was just like, dude, just get the money. And it was just so funny because we would just be joking around about it, but like there was like a part of me that was like, fuck, like that money would be nice. You know, you just sort of get to this place where you make less money and you're just like, fuck, like maybe it wouldn't be so bad, which is hilarious.
That's funny. You fall into the same trap. And that's before you notice, you wake up one day and you notice you have no soul.
Yeah. I mean, that's just how it happens. It's not an overnight thing. Like you just, anytime someone becomes something else, it's usually like this slow burn. Like you just make one small decision and that will lead to another one. Like, you know, one small compromise will lead to another one.
Yeah.
And pretty soon
It's addictive too, making money. Because I've done jobs that paid more money than other stuff that I had the choice to not do at the time.
Yeah.
And it's addictive. It's
Sure.
like, I'll do this another few weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like stealing, you know, you get away with it and you're just like, oh, that wasn't so bad. And I got the thing I wanted. So, you know, and then you start stealing more and then, you know, but eventually you get caught. And whether it's yourself catching you or it's some other thing, it's just like, fuck, like, I wish I didn't do that. But yeah, it is addictive to...
You could just drink because whenever I skate at certain places, they'll have Monsters, but they're just full of water. Have you seen those?
Yeah, I know that.
You could just drink the water ones.
Yeah, see, that's another way to rationalize it. It's like, oh, you don't have to drink it, really. You just have to, you know, be their clown and like wear their logos and stuff. Like, you know,
bunch of 16-ounce canned waters everywhere.
Yeah, but I guess that's not the issue, right? It's not the product. It's not what you have to drink. It's like what you have to do to get paid.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the real issue. Because those kids would fucking drink it, like whatever. They don't care. They're kids.
It'd have to be a healthy beverage then.
It's just a funny idea promoting a beverage. Funny to me. Being on like the Monster team is hilarious.
Yeah.
The money's cool, but those guys, it's just like so embarrassing. Like they have to wear the Red Bull hats. You know what I mean? Like they have to wear that hat.
Yeah.
And that just goes beyond my standard of like what's acceptable. Like it's like, what? Like, no, like, because to me, like you sponsor a skater because of who they are. You don't want to control them. Like as a company, like if I were to like sponsor someone, I would be like, their personality and their skating speak to me. And I want to help them do this for a living and develop themselves. I don't want to force them to be like some kind of corporate like symbol for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in my mind, in my like utopia of being a sponsored skater, it's like, I like this person and I want to just help them and like, or like whatever. I just want to promote this person.
Yeah. Imagine if the NFL worked that way. It just wouldn't work.
Yeah. See, I guess like if you think about it, like, yeah, like it's funny because like the NFL and the NBA and like whatever, like those organizations, that's like sort of that's like the end game for most companies, right? Like they control everything. They control the athletes. They like say like what they can and can't do, what they can and can't wear, what they can and can't say. You know, that's why I never did that stuff and I skated. It's because like skating is a thing that you are in control of and you make all the choices and it's sort of a reaction to things that are organized like that. Because you know, I never wanted that stuff, and skating like appealed to me because it was not only, but one of the things that appealed to me about it was like it was so individual and so like against like all all those other like conformance activities.
No, absolutely.
So that's why it's like so
People don't
funny.
start playing football because of that.
Yeah, because they're.
I don't know why. I mean,
because there's I mean like those types of things were just like, it was just getting from A to B and then a ton of rules in between, which is like, ugh, you know, like I don't want to do that, and it was so unattractive to me.
Right. But I mean, as far as like corporate sponsorships for athletes or something like that, that's got to be the polar opposite in a major league sport, where the guy that scores the most, you know, points gets the highest contract with that shoe sponsor or that energy drink sponsor, you know. Like imagine Nike or whatever it is, Adidas saying to LeBron, like, we just want to develop you, you know.
Yeah, totally. That's
not the way it works.
That's not what they want.
Yeah,
you know, they want people to get in line and follow their directions. And, you know, those types. I mean, I don't want to say that like basketball players or football players aren't creative, but like I just want to point out that like they've gotten to a point where, like I was saying before about like doing things you don't want to do because it's your job in a creative field. Like, you know, think about the stuff that they have to do. Like, oh man, like I can't even imagine. You know, I was watching this.
Yeah, it's like a prison.
I was watching this YouTube video about K-pop the other day. Yeah. And only like 3 companies control K-pop in Korea, and it basically creates popular culture there. Those K-pop stars, they literally sign their lives away. Yeah. And they can't date. They can't like be at a certain place without express permission. Like basically the companies control every aspect of their lives. Right. Literally. And they sign these contracts.
It's like entertainment, fascism.
Yeah, it's entertainment like fascism. You know,
killed themselves. There was one K-pop star that famously committed suicide because of all the pressure.
Yeah, I mean, like, suicide is like a very like normal thing there because of, and in lots of parts of Asia, you know, like, you know, the pressure becomes so great that they can't take it anymore.
But what was this thing you watched?
It was just this sort of, it was just this YouTube channel I follow, and he kind of just like breaks down a lot of things like that. Like, you know, like he talks about like Baudrillard and like, you know, just like modern like conundrums and like weird things like that. Like he basically talks about systems a lot. Like, you know, like he'll break down like why American Psycho is, you know, it's about like non-reality and materialism and how it like affects like the human experience and all things like that, you know, like.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But he does this K-pop one that is so good. And like, maybe it's not 100% true. I mean, I trust this person, but like, because he just does such a good job. But like, I think a lot of it is common knowledge. And like, he really breaks down the way that these companies control these kids and break them, you know, and the companies like pit them against each other. They'll pit friends against each other. If you get into the boy band, like you can't be friends with this person anymore. Like things like that, like levels of control that are like so extreme that I was just like stunned. I was just like, wow. Yeah. But also, but being an Asian person and growing up with an Asian family, like I can relate to that, like that system and that level of control over people, because like, you know, like my parents kind of tried to do that to me. And obviously not on that scale at all, but just like, they were just some people trying to like raise their kids. But you have this like unique perspective on how children are raised in that culture, you know, like, so learning about like young kids who can sing and dance and sign their lives away and having their lives fully controlled, like, and being pressured to do it even by their parents is something that Asian kids can relate to, because you know,
immigrant mentality, you know, they call it, whether you're, well, every American, but whether you're first generation or second generation, more so, where your parents obviously left a worse situation to find a new one, and having experienced that firsthand can change your attitude about things, right? Whether it's
And you have to, I mean, I didn't always respect that either. You know, I had to like grow up to finally understand why like my parents were like kind of making or why they were doing the things they were doing and making things so like quote unquote difficult for me. Just appreciating how much they had to do is not something that I could see when I was a kid or a teenager.
Yeah.
It's not until you're older that you realize, wow, I was awful. And like they were just trying to figure shit out. And they were just trying to like take their experiences and raise a foreign kid, basically. Like just imagine that. Imagine going to another country, having a child, and that child isn't where you're from, basically. You know, you move to France and you're raising like a French kid and you're like, fuck, this is hard and this sucks. And I only know how to do it my way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I remember once you told me your brother went to Harker, which is like a really nice private school in the Bay Area.
He did.
Yeah.
I did too for a
did?
few months. I did for a few months, but I got kicked out.
Oh, you got kicked out?
Yeah, because I was I smoked weed at school with this kid. Like I was rebelling. I basically picked the worst kid, and I was like, "This is my friend." Because Harker's like this gnarly private school, like it's a prep school, and I hated it. I fucking hated it.
Yeah,
and,
they had a couple friends who went there,
yeah.
but it sounds like your parents really valued education.
Oh man, yes.
And they sent you, and we went to the same elementary school, which was a pretty expensive private school also.
Yeah, like my parents worked really hard to put me in those schools, and I can appreciate that, and I'm like way better for it. But I hated those schools, and I didn't even know anything else yet. I just knew that, especially in 6th grade, by the time I got to Harker, I had started skating and was starting to like really like realize that you're just sort of becoming a person at that point, sort of, you know, like when you're like going through puberty, you're like fucking 11, 10, whatever. You're like,
yeah.
For me anyways, I was like, okay, like I'm starting to make my own decisions. I was definitely fucking rebelling.
But you identified with these K-pop kids because you're Asian parents.
I mean, that's sort of stretching it. I just wanted, I guess like I just like I don't like my parents were pretty awesome in retrospect compared to other parents, but like other Asian immigrant parents. But
let you it worked out, you know.
Yeah, like I mean with the K-pop thing, like
you're not a doctor or lawyer.
It's nothing like that. I just wanted to say that I can understand the pressure that these kids are under. That's all. I was never under that kind of pressure, but I have a better basis for understanding or imagining what it would be like. Because my parents were they were pretty strict at first, you know, and also seeing how my cousins were growing up and like visiting family and stuff. And, you know, all the stories that my parents told me about family and growing up where they grew up. It's, you know, for me growing up, I would just be like looking at my American friends. I mean, I was American too, but like, you know, your white friends, basically.
Yeah.
You go to their houses and you're like, what? The level of freedoms that they had and the level of, they could straight up just be like swearing at their parents, you know, things like that. We were like, whoa, like my house is really different than this. So my parents did a great job. It was just so hard, like being, because I wanted to be American. I didn't want to be Taiwanese or Asian or whatever. Like that's the thing that like immigrant kids who are born to immigrants have to struggle with is like, I want to be American, but I don't want to betray my family at the same time. So you kind of like, you have this like constant struggle. Like if you go to school and like you have like a lunchbox and it has like Chinese food in it and like the other kids make fun of you, all of a sudden you're like, ew, I don't want this food anymore. I don't want to eat this ever.
Yeah.
That felt so gross. And then you start to like reject things, and that, you know, that's going to like hurt your parents. You know, like that's really going to hurt them. But at the time, like, you know, you're such as like, you're just self-centered. You're a kid and you're just like, I don't, you know, I got made fun of and I just want to blend in. I don't want to be different, you know?
Yeah.
It's really weird, like growing up like that, just like, sort of, you got your family on one end but you have like this other society that you're like trying to be a part of on the other.
Yeah.
Causes a lot of friction.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's an extreme example. I remember seeing a few things on K-pop stars, but I don't think in America that they would allow that to happen. And if it existed in America, it would be a secret, you know,
Yeah,
of corporations treating people that way.
Yeah, it's so
putting
different
people
there.
Under that kind of pressure.
It's so different there. I mean, it's not like that here, you know, at all. Like compared to that, like,
yeah,
because cultural figures have way more power here. They have way more of a like platform. Like fucking like Cardi B could get on her Instagram right now and like say some fucking crazy shit, and everybody would be on her side. Like public opinion would completely be with her, and as a like record label or whatever, like whoever she's railing against, you would look really bad.
Yeah.
So and they don't have that kind of shit over there. They're not even allowed to do that stuff. Like if they have social media, it's being controlled.
Yeah.
You know, so all aspects of their life are made to look like it's what they're into, but it's really just these companies that control everything, which is kind of fascinating. I'm like, that's why it was so interesting. I was like, wow, like, why would you ever do that? But to them, it's worth it. You know, to those stars, it's like, you know,
you've been convinced, maybe in this situation more that an American could relate to is that you've been convinced that you need the paycheck, or you've been convinced in their example that you need the social acceptance.
Yeah, because I think like to them, it's just sort of, they've been persuaded that this is your dream and this is your destiny. I'm sure they even use that word. This is your destiny.
Yeah.
You're good at singing. You're beautiful. You're good at dancing. Your destiny is to become this thing, and you have to do it this way. There's no other way. And if you don't do it, you'll be letting everybody down.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like the manipulation.
And we're going to exploit the fuck out of you.
Yeah. And like, yeah. And that's what we're going to do. But we're not going to tell you that. You're just slowly going to become this tool for us. And we're going to sharpen you whenever we feel like it.
So yeah, it feels good to be a little bit of freedom then if you escape that.
Yeah, man, just like take what you can get and appreciate shit. Like that's all you can really do, you know? If you get lucky enough to do stuff like this, like just, you know, appreciate it. Like really appreciate it. Don't just say you do. Give it the respect that it, you know, that it gives you.
Yeah.
Definitely, if you don't do that, like it's gonna hurt.
Right.
Sometimes it hurts anyways. Sometimes all you do is the right thing and you'll still get hurt. But you know, it's just a good practice to just be respectful of it.
Yeah.
You know, don't take stuff for granted.
It's nice. Life advice from Jerry Sue. Gratitude.
Yeah, be grateful. But look out for yourself too.
You see, they knobbed that spot on the corner there. I've seen footage of you skating there.
Yeah, that black thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of relieved.
They just did it like a couple weeks ago. Well, thanks again for doing this, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And thanks for the hat.
Of course, anytime. Sorry it took so long, actually.
You've been listening to the Cameron Adair podcast made by me, Cameron Adair. Thanks to Jerry. Sci-Fi Fantasy is in stores and at sci-fifantasy.co. This show is now at podcast.cameronadair.com, where you can find links to Patreon, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, and everywhere else it exists. If you enjoyed the show, subscribe at patreon.com/Cameron_Adair. We can't make the show without all the awesome supporters on there, and we really appreciate you guys. And as always, thanks for listening.